Okay, today I'm going to do a really quick tutorial video on probably the most colorful chert that outcrops in southern Indiana, and that is called Indian Creek chert. Indian Creek chert is named after Indian Creek, which flows through Monroe, Greene, and Lawrence and Martin counties. It enters the East Fork of the White River in the edge of Martin County, close to Lawrence County. Um, Indian Creek chert is a really high grade, sometimes chert, and sometimes really low grade. The cool thing is, if it's a low grade piece, it heat treats really well, and that's where you get the fabulous colors. There was a really good article written about Indian Creek chert in the Ohio Archaeologist in the early 2000s. I'm thinking around 2001 by Dr. William C. Meadows, professor, who wrote all about it and showed some great pictures. So you might want to look that up online. But Indian Creek chert is known to come out, as I said, in Owen, Monroe, Greene, Lawrence, Orange, Washington counties in Indiana. But it almost definitely comes out down by the Ohio River, Spencer, Harrison counties, Crawford, down in that area. I've seen examples of it. I've seen it in Kentucky. I've seen it in Ohio. I've seen it in stuff in several states that look just like it, and it may well have other names in other places. Some of the Indian Creek chert was probably quarried from the core area in Lawrence and Monroe counties and stuff and dispersed around the state of Indiana, but it most likely outcrops as well down near the Ohio River and in some of these other places. It's doubtful that they carried it all that far. Some of it probably was traded that far, but it has to be beyond the known distribution area. You'll find when you study archaeological surveys of chert and things, a lot of times what the distribution area is just what we currently know. But if you dig a little deeper and get out there and look in the field, you'll find that it might come from a much larger range. And I know that's been my experience working with Dr. Meadows. We found several cherts and added a couple counties to the known distribution area when we got digging around. Okay, so Indian Creek chert. It can come out in slabs in the creeks like tablets, or it can also come out in nodules. So the slabs are like flat pieces of it. The nodules are round balls like the Wyandotte chert or the Hornstone or the St. Genevieve chert. So it can come out in both forms. The most basic form and color of Indian Creek chert is like a tan or a buff color, and it can be very grainy, such as this blade right here, or it can be very glossy and high grade like this Lost Lake, which is just as good a material as any piece of Wyandotte chert or Indiana hornstone that you'll find. So you can see that that is the basic color, and sometimes it comes out in a cream color like this as well. This one's also very high grade. That would be right up there with Wyandotte chert as far as quality. And again, it can also be extremely grainy, like this thing is just a step above limestone. It's almost like the cortex on the outside of a nodule of chert. The cool thing about it when you find it in the nodules is inside it's almost indistinguishable from Wyandotte chert. So here's a couple points that demonstrate that. This stemmed point, you can see it has a lighter area around, but the heart or the core of the nodule is a really dark gray, almost looks like Wyandotte chert or hornstone. Same with this piece. You see the cortical stuff that's lighter colored and a little grainier, but then the stuff in the middle is much higher grade. Now this piece, you can see the tan in it, so that gives away that it's Indian Creek. But if you were to see this side, you would just about think this has to be Wyandotte chert if you found it. It's almost indistinguishable in the way it looks and the way it feels. Very high grade. This came right out of the center of a large nodule. Now, when they have the grainy stuff, they can heat treat it and it becomes high quality, as many materials, inferior materials do when you heat treat them. It also, what's great about Indian Creek chert is the colors just pop when you heat treat it. So I have some heat treated examples here. You can see this dovetail has turned a vibrant glossy red. This little point next to it, this little corner notch is red. This one has a variety of colors. Here's one where just the tip has turned red and the rest of it has retained that yellow color. This Fox Valley has taken on all kinds of color. You can see it's got reds and purples and blues, and it's just got a whole variety of colors in it. This little point here, this little bifurcate serrated piece, also took on a variety of colors. You see purples and reds, and then you also see the tan in the background that was the original color. These points, same thing. Here's this pine tree with the heat-treated tip. Here's a piece that's been heat-treated, and that darker part towards the center of the nodule has taken on a purple luster. You can see with these drills, there's some blues and purples in there, these 2 pencil drills. This blade has a variety of different colors where it's heat treated. The yellow has become pink, and then the blue has become dark blue or purplish. This little bifurcated piece has all kinds of colors popping out of it. These rivertons have become blood red, some of them. And this piece, again, you've got the classic where it turns into the dark blue and the purple and everything. Here's another one where you get the dark blues and purples and just a whole variety of colors. Here's another one where just the edges have turned. Here's one where you've got a variety of pinks and reds. So, and this is just a quick sample. I just kind of threw this together out of some of the points I had lying around because I live right in the heart of where this stuff outcrops. But as you can see, this is just a kind of a not really well known, but very beautiful chert. In some of the literature, heat-treated Indian Creek chert is referred to as Richland chert, but that is just simply the same thing as the heat-treated Indian Creek. But as you can see, it turns every color in the rainbow, and there are some that are even more spectacular in color than these. I'm sure if I dug through my collection, I would find a lot more that hit a wider variety of colors. But as you can see, even the grainy stuff, when you heat treat it, can become very high grade, and then some of it does not need to be heat treated at all. It's very high grade, such as this piece right from the get-go, and it's fabulous material. So it's just a not real well known, but just a fabulous chert type. And it does occur, I've seen lots of it on the Ohio River, and it occurs throughout southern Indiana. Again, probably traded from the source area, but there are probably also sources in counties that have not been documented. The collectors that have a lot of this in their collections fall in love with it. It's kind of like, it's different, obviously, in the way it looks and everything, but people develop an affinity for it, kind of like people do with Flint Ridge material from Ohio, because it is just so doggone pretty. And one chert that can be that versatile and make that many different colors. As you can see, it's every time period. I've seen paleo stuff out of it. I've seen Jack's Reef points and Madison triangles, and I've seen everything in between. And as you look at this collection here, you can see a wide variety of time periods that are represented by the Indian Creek chert just on this little sample that I've thrown together. Oh, here's a neat little piece. This is a nodule of Indian Creek chert. A friend of mine named Jim Graves, he's deceased now, found this years ago. But somebody, he found it on a prehistoric site, and somebody obviously made a little miniature axe out of it, which I thought was just really cool. He gave that to me, which I really appreciated. But this is a very small piece, but this is the nodular form of it. This is what it looks like if you see it. Typically the nodules will be bigger, but they've also made a little axe out of it. So that's a cool little piece. But anyway, Indian Creek chert, just a nice little representative sample of it. And you can see the different types of colors that you get with the heat treating. And you can also see the natural colors that it occurs in.